Hey, and good morning. Welcome, everybody. I've been running around crazy this morning, playing with this stream a bunch. Good morning to Jan Blank and Select and Kevin Evans. Good morning. I was happy to see that you ventured into your local card shop. That's pretty fun to see. I'm sure we'll get into that a little more today. Catal is here. Select, you're going to learn some C++. Woo, good luck, sir. Good morning, Turbinator. One of the things that was a delight to me the first time I went into a card shop recently, Kevin Evans, was that they had cards of all of my favorite players, and they were affordable, right? They weren't very expensive. And in fact, the first time that I went in there, there was a set of parents with their kids. But they had 3 kids. They were all boys, and they must have been, I don't know, 10, 8, and 6 or something. And they gave each of their kids $6, and they could buy whatever they wanted from the glass case, the picture you sent me yesterday, where they had a glass case of just all sorts of cards, and the kids had favorite players. And they were, because they only had $6, they were haggling with the owner, who loved it. I thought he was really great with the kids. And they were like, "You've got this Peyton Manning card. It says $10. Will you take 5?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, man, I'll take 5," because he knew he was creating forever fans of getting their first sports cards and whatever. It was really fun to watch these kids haggle over cards in a case, and they weren't anything rare or unique or special or anything. And I'm sure the card shop owner was still making money on the card at $5, but it reminded me about my youth, and like my dad used to take me to card shows, and we would just wander the aisles looking at what everybody had, and we brought some of our own to try to sell because we had doubles and stuff. And man, it was just so fun. I mean, you just don't even see things like that anymore. Card shows still happen, but not as often, not as frequently as we went. And with eBay, it's pretty easy to find exactly what you're looking for just by looking online, which has been good and bad for my checking account. So yeah. So I have a couple of fun things that I wanted to talk with you guys about. Some things I need to figure out, like what's happening with my hair here. I was supposed to have a haircut today.
Are you following me?
Smishy Smish, thank you for the follow. Could you guys hear Shrek there? That is my question for you. Did you just hear Shrek say, "Why are you following me"? Did that come through the audio, or was that only through the microphone? Would love to know your feedback on that. But Smishy Smish, thank you for the follow. I'm glad you're here. I'm about to start. Okay, cool. Was it audible, or was it just kind of like a background noise? Because I don't want it to be. It was kind of quiet, right? I'm working with all of my streaming tools that I've got here to figure out what the right way to go about some of this stuff is, and it came through the mic. I think that's okay. I'm generally okay with it coming through the mic, but I would love a way to fake it so that I'm feeding my PC audio through the microphone output so that it all rolls together. I just haven't solved that problem yet. But long story, my kids got me on TikTok a couple of years ago. I have videos on TikTok if you guys want to go see those. That's not the point of me telling the story, but if you want to go see me embarrass myself and do all sorts of fun things, they're there. Same username, same everything. But because of that, I tend to browse TikTok, when I've got a few minutes here or there, or when I'm laying in bed, or in the bathroom, or like everybody does, right? And I found this guy who is a Twitch streamer, like hardcore gamer streamer. It might even be his full-time gig. But on TikTok, he offers all of these amazing, what he calls streamer tips, right? He comes on, he says streamer tips, and then he tells you something cool about something he knows or does on his stream that he finds to be really useful. And in all of that, I keep hearing these tips, and I'm like, that would really work well on my stream. Or, oh, wow, that's clever. I hadn't thought of that. And so I added something today. I've added a couple of things, but I'm really interested to see how this is all going to work. So let's say this. I know you guys can't see my screen yet, but I'll just flip over to my screen. I know this is probably going to upset Select because he really likes when I build my own chatbots, but there's something to be said for having something that just works, and I'm not constantly tinkering and fumbling with. I can still build my own chatbots, and I will, but I started adding some sound effect commands to the Streamlabs chatbot. This is a free chatbot that you can use.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
There you go. So thank you, Tech with Turbinator. He's already figured out how this works. Now, what's cool about it is that it also gives me a bunch of flexibility to do things like timeouts and pauses. So he just ran the free command, and it used that quote from the Joker, but it times out. So you can only use that command once a minute. And then if you want to come back a minute later and add it again, that's fine. You can also see that I'm trying to be accessible. And so if maybe you're watching this without audio, you can see it still in the chat. So the chat bot actually will still write out what the quote was, so you'll see it there as well. So that's some of the little things that I'm going to start using. Now there's a lot to this chatbot, and I have a lot more to figure out. I literally have spent the last hour and a half playing with it, and I was able to get some sound effects and get some things set up. But you can see that they have something called currency, and all of you here have started earning currency, a lot like the points that we have in the casino. So I don't know what I can do with this currency yet. This is Streamlabs currency, and I think you can type a command like, am I even in there? I'm not even in there because I'm the host, but I think you can do like points like that. Well, like that. And I think you just earn points maybe based on time or something. I'm not sure exactly how this all works yet. But we're playing with that kind of stuff. There will be games we can play. We can do giveaways. My hope is that we can make this channel more interactive, because I really love the conversation we have, but I think it would be fun once in a while if you guys throw some well-timed sound effects or stuff at me. So I have this collection here so far. There's about 20 of them, if I had to guess. And one of the things that I need to figure out is, like, how do I get you to know what the list of commands is? I'm guessing if I don't think this will work. If I do commands, yeah, that's the Chatsino ones. So I don't know how to get you guys to know what the commands are, but you can see some of them here. So if, for example, if you type horrible.
So this all seems horrible.
And I actually need to edit that one, because that is Bruce Banner.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Right. So it feels like, I guess this feels fun to me in that as I'm saying things, as we're having conversations, as we get into topics, you guys have a way to kind of chime in audibly with what's going on, or add a funny sound effect or whatever. And I'm going to continue to grow and add this. I also haven't found a way, I don't think there's a way for you guys to add them yourself. So if there are sound effects that you think should be added, I think we'll just make that part of our conversation, part of our chat. And if you want there to be something, we'll just make that part of our conversation, part of our chat. And if you want there to be something, I was like, what? Didn't make my voice part of the sound effects. Anyway, so there's, I think the whole point of this will be that if you guys have other things that you want to add, I'm open to all of it, and we'll just figure out how to make that stuff happen. So that's enough on the chatbot. I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was kind of fun. So those things exist now, and we're all good. So yesterday, I had the intention of getting us to a point where we could hear a question asked from our database, and I failed in that mission. The reason was, and I can show you what the reason was, and the change that I've made to fix this. If I jump into my database, this was actually a data schema issue that I was having, and I couldn't get around it. But I'll show you what I did. So in my question table, I have a category here. Now this category is a unique identifier, and you can see that it changes as we go down the different categories. And if I look at my category, I have a record ID that sits here. The way that I had structured this before is that my unique identifier for my category table was actually the name, because those are also unique values. But because of that, when I was trying to write a query against this database, it was only allowing me to query based on this name. And the problem with that is that I have these really nice names with like ampersands and spaces and strings. And that's not how I have it in other places. And so they didn't necessarily match, and it became this whole data issue. So what I decided to do instead was flip this around, and now I have a record ID. And this is the unique identifier that I'm going to use. This is the unique identifier that I get from my skill. And I can use that to do my query. And so now that individual piece works, but it makes my question table ugly. You can see that I have this category that's sitting here. I'm going to actually change this to be category, maybe, category ID, like that. And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to hide it, because I don't want to see it. But then I'm going to add a new field. This is one of the other cool things that I can do with Airtable. And I'm going to do a lookup. and I'm going to choose category ID, and the thing I want is name. And we hit create. And now voila, so we can call this category. And so now I have that same functionality that I had before, where I can see the real name of the category that's here in the table. And by doing so, it gives me a much nicer visual as I'm looking at my data. Seeing those unique record IDs doesn't help me a whole lot because I don't know what those mean. I don't have any indication of what those are. So I start to use these lookup fields quite a bit. I use them also in the casino. I use them in my sports cards even. It's a way to translate some things pretty easily, but still rely on those unique identifiers. So anyway, let's get to the questioning. So if I let's make sure everything's running, and it is. If I come over here and I say open Jeff's trivia game.
Welcome to TKO Trivia, the trivia game show where you answer difficult questions and win nothing. Each day, you can play a new 10-question challenge, but be careful, because if you get one wrong, you're finished. You can also sharpen your skills by asking for a random question, or for a question from a specific category. Try saying something like play today's challenge or give me a random question.
Okay. So there's Glitched Xbot. Welcome to the show. So that's us getting into the skill. There is still very clearly an issue because this is only supposed to happen the first time that I use the skill. That's the only time this should ever be talked to. And I wonder if we didn't get an error. No errors to be seen. That's from earlier. So it's very interesting when you see things like this. You can see like this JSON output right here. I have a session ended request, and it says, "Oops, it looks like one of our programmers broke something." But that's not actually what happened. What actually happened was we said the long thing, which is all of this launch request. That's what actually happened. So I'm not sure exactly what that is, but if I say, give me a science question.
Something is definitely very broken. If only I could fix it myself.
What did I do
Sorry
wrong?
for the inconvenience.
This literally just worked a minute
I've
ago.
notified our developers.
We're going to change nothing and see if we can fix it.
What would you like to do now?
Good morning, Corey Haynes and Krista Mars. It's good to see everybody this morning. It's always nice to do this. I really do. I know it sounds weird, but I am eternally an extrovert, if that isn't obvious. And I really, really enjoy having all you folks to get together with and talk every morning. So I'm glad that I'm a good distraction for you, Corey. That's fun. Okay, let's try this again. We're just going to start over because I didn't change anything. All I did was stop and start my service. Let's see if this does anything.
Welcome to TKO Trivia,
No,
the
still
trivia
getting
game
this.
show where you answer difficult questions and win nothing. This is the help intent.
Give me a science question. That's going to break.
It appears our trivia questions are better than our programmers. Something just broke.
Oh, I wonder
I'm
if...
so sorry about that. You could start a quiz or ask for a question. What should I do?
I wonder if this becomes an issue. I wonder if hiding that field actually causes the trouble. Give me a science question.
It appears our trivia
No.
questions are better than our
What is
programmers.
the error
Something just
we're getting
broke.
here?
I'm so sorry about that.
Cannot
You
read
could start
property
a quiz
fields.
or ask for a question. What should I do?
Is it because of the change I just made? It has to be because of the change I just made because this was working. Category ID. And then if we look at get random question, we were passing in category ID, but this is called category ID now. Yeah, see, I changed the name of my field, and voila, that breaks everything. Okay. So give me a science question now. Maybe you just want to cooperate a little. It looks like it wants to work. Okay, let's fix one more thing. So I don't understand why the local debugging is sometimes flaky like this. That really annoys me. We'll fire that back up. System is running. Refresh this. Open my game.
Welcome to TKO Trivia.
Give me a science question.
Here is a question from the
Yes.
science category. What is the better known term for twins that are monozygotic?
All right, so it's working. So here's a tip. When you're demoing something for someone, don't go change the names of your data fields. That will break things, and it sucks. So anyway, here's where we are. We have these three pieces, and if you remember what we did yesterday in this code, question intent, down here at the very bottom, we have the category introduction, we have the sound effect, and we have the question speech. And all three of those were stitched together there so that we had that kind of whole sentence that we just saw here. That whole thing is pieced together. So these are the three pieces: the category introduction, the audio file that I played, and then the actual question itself. Now, one of the other things that I need for this is a timer that I can use to tick things away. And so I actually went and found something for that yesterday. Let's see if I can actually find it. If I go to my downloads, I think, or did I already move it? Let's see. These are all the audio files I just brought in. Let's get rid of these. I don't need these anymore. Deleted. Okay. So yesterday I had these timers, and I thought that I had an MP. Did I bring the MP3 over here? I really thought that I downloaded that MP3. Let me look at my downloads again. We have the MP4. Oh, this isn't even the one I want. Where did I put that? Maybe I did it on my other computer, but I don't know. For those of you that saw the countdown timer this morning, it changed. This is the new countdown timer. Nice little techno track. We'll get you fired up those last 30 seconds before we start. Did any of you guys see that this morning? I'm always curious on volumes too. I don't know if that was too loud. Well, where did I go find? I mean, I found this thing on YouTube. It was a 15-second timer with sound. Kevin Evans started dancing. That's awesome. I think it was this one. I like the sound of this. No, that's not it. There was one that looked like that, though, I thought. Maybe this one? No, that's not it. There was one, I thought it had a circle. My history, yeah, that's a good idea. Look at the videos I've actually looked at yesterday. It must have been this one. Yeah, I thought this was kind of a cool sound. Again, never mind the video. Let's try that again. I feel like that's a pretty cool sound. CP McManaman, you said BBC. Is that a sound from something that I'm just not aware of? But we could do a little YouTube. I really thought I did this yesterday. YouTube to MP3. We're just going to grab that sound. Like BBC's sound. I didn't realize that sounded like the BBC. Very cool. We have the BBC America over here, and we watch that for some things, but not for a lot. Convert. I just want, we'll take this one. I'm going to have to do stuff with it anyway. Come on. Let's do it. Give me the sounds. There we go. And then I don't even know if I have Audacity on here. I don't think I do. Let's go get that. That's the one. What are we saying here? That's fine. Audacity Windows install. I hate when you have to click 47 times to download something. My goodness. Okay. Open file. Yes. Love me some Audacity. Next. The other challenge I'll have, of course, is that I want to find sound effects that all kind of go together, make it sound like it's its own thing. So this may not be the final timer, but it's a timer for now. Okay, my microphone is not that. It's this. My speakers are that. That's fine. Okay, so let's open our file that we downloaded. Downloads, quick access, downloads. This, open it, and we can hear that again. Man, that's loud. No, let's get that back to 1. I chose the wrong thing. I was wondering if I could lower the volume on this, but I think for now it's probably okay. So I need to remember, because I never do, Alexa sound SSML. There's specific properties. Why is it so hard to find what I want? Alexa developer. I don't want any of these articles. I want the doc. None of this is what I want. Stop it. Okay. If we go to Alexa, this gets me close, I guess. Sound library, but what I really want is the SSML reference. I guess that's what I should have typed in. Okay, so now I want audio. And there's 2 numbers in here that I can never remember. The first is 48 kbs bitrate. Okay, we can do that. And the other one is one of these 3 sample rates. So we'll take the 24,000 if we can get that. We can't, so we'll take the 22050. That was one of them, 22050. Cool. And then we're going to do file, export as MP3. And in here, we're going to say a constant bitrate of, what was it, 48? 48. So we'll take our 48 here, and we're going to call this 15-second timer. And we'll put this somewhere else. So in here, in TKO Trivia, in, is that really where I want to put it? What is infrastructure? Oh, that must be something they create. Do I need this here? I don't really need it here. Let's just put it in the downloads folder for now. 15-second timer save. All of that is good. We're going to need to put this in S3. Oh, it's because, okay. I see why all of my issues are happening with search. It's putting me in Edge and on Chrome, or on Bing. Not that I'm opposed to either of those, but that's just not what I'm used to using. So let's try this. I was like, where are all my shortcuts that should take me right to where I want to go? Okay. This feels more familiar. All right, so now I want to look at my buckets. We have a TKO. Is it this one? I guess so. TKO Trivia, audio, and we have all of our sound effects there. I don't know if I should put it in there or if I should put it in music. What is music? These are a bunch of. Oh, I think this. Oh, interesting. I think these are all tracks that I thought would be good. Like waiting music. But that's 2 minutes and 28 seconds. I think these were all things that I thought would be cool tracks. And as I went through my first certification for this TKO Trivia, like way back 2018, or whenever I first built a concept for this, and then I built 90-second versions of these, I was giving people 90 seconds to answer questions. I think 30 is more than sufficient. This is supposed to be hard, but maybe I could trim these down. But it's kind of cool to just like bust in with some song. Here comes jealousy. All right, so I'm not going to do that for now. We're just going to use the timer. So this isn't really music. I guess we'll go to audio and we'll put our file in here. So we'll grab that new file, new 15-second timer that we just created. And I want it to upload it. And then I also want in the here, I want to make sure that it's public because I tend to run into that a lot, so we'll just make sure it's public. Failed to edit public access. What does that mean? Oh, these didn't fail. Okay, so it should be public now if we look at the file. It's not doing a very good job of telling me that, but object management. I think we're good. So we can take this thing just as it is, and let's jump back into our code, and we're going to create a new const up here somewhere. Question, and we have more work to do on question and stuff like that, but we'll call this const hold music. No. Timer. No, I don't like timer either. Hold timer. And this is gonna Mike Hardington. Good morning, Mr. Hardington. Trying to get a homie to raid your channel, but he isn't sure how to do that. I can show you really quick. It's actually quite easy to do a raid. All you do here's my, well, maybe it is. Here's my Twitch Management Studio. Goodness, why won't it stay on the screen? There we go. So this is the Twitch Management Studio. You can see I can see all the chats and stuff coming through here. Oh, it's Mr. Hardington that's doing the raid. No, it's totally fine. So all you need to do is if you don't have in your stream manager, you can see this URL here. You would just put your name where my name is. And if you don't have a raid channel button here, you can scroll down to the bottom and hit this plus sign. And they give you all these things that you can do just with those buttons on the side there. But one of them is a raid. I think it's one of these main ones up here at the top normally. But if it's not, just look for the raid one. And then when you do that, I'm not going to actually do this, but you click the raid button and it shows you a list of people that you're following that you can pick to raid. And so like I would pick this guy and then it would queue everything up, and then I say go raid, and then when I finally hit the start raid button, it sends all of the viewers to that channel, but it doesn't end my stream. So you still need to end your stream afterward. That's something I didn't realize once, and I stood here and cleaned some things up. And I feel like Mike and I know each other. We've met before, certainly, But I know we follow each other on Twitter, but I can't remember if we physically met in person or like shaken hands or anything. But that seems like probably like a Codemash or some event like that probably has happened. Anyway, that's all you do is you just hit raid channel and you choose somebody that you follow. And in fact, we'll add him as a friend. There we go. Can I also follow? We'll just go to your channel. So you are now followed. Cool. Anyway, so that's rating. It's not super intuitive, but once you've done it a couple times, it becomes a lot easier. Okay, so I was working on my hold timer, and we need another audio tag. So audio src equals, this is where my URL to my timer is going to go. And then we need to close that up. I think that's enough. I don't think I need anything more. Yeah, we'll slap a space there just for cleanliness. And a semicolon, because reasons. And now we have hold timer. So we're going to take hold timer down here to the bottom. And after we ask the question, we're going to slap a hold timer on there. So just by doing that, we should now have a hold timer after we get asked our question. So if I say, give me a science question, let's listen for our timer.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Welcome to TKO Trip. Here is a question from the science category. Which Greek physician is known as the father of medicine?
It's a little jarring, huh? You can feel the end coming though. And then what's the audio only response? What's that? I don't know what that is right there. But anyway, Kevin Evans does know the answer, and it is, in fact, Hippocrates. And if we go look at our database, let's see if we can find it. What Greek physician is known as the father of medicine? It is, in fact, Hippocrates. Nice work, Kevin Evans. That is the correct answer. So what we need to do, and this is where we're going to spend our time today, is being able to recognize that you got an answer correct, because that is a whole different intent. That's a whole different ball of wax that we need to unpack here. So I'm going to go to my build tab. And we're going to look at our interaction model. And if we look at our intents, we already have an answer intent, but it doesn't do what we want it to do. So in this case, what we need is not this is the answer. We need some other utterances that are the answer. So what I like to do in these kinds of situations, because the right answer changes a lot, and this is, if you guys haven't seen dynamic entities before, this is the bomb. I love this. It's so very cool. So Hippocrates, if I could spell, might be a right answer, right? And so we could hard code values like this, or we could, if I can do this, we could create a new slot called answer and add that. And then we have this little answer thing, right? And so you can see that now it wants a slot type. So now I have to come down to my slot types, and I need to create a new slot type called answer. Now, there was a time many, many years ago where I would have had to build a gigantic slot that had all the answers to all of my questions. There's two problems with that. The first is it's unmanageable, like unmanageable. The second is you can't have the same answer to two different questions because, well, I guess you could have the same answer to two different questions, but it becomes very, very tricky. But you have this huge unmanageable list, and it's a possibility, as you have hundreds or thousands of answers all built into one answer slot, that you could have overlap or conflict because words may sound the same. Maybe the answer to one question is pair, like what is the lowest hand you can have without having nothing in poker? That's a pair, P-A-I-R. But you might also say, what fruit is featured in this specific artist's painting? And it's a pair, P-E-A-R. We don't want those to necessarily be the same answer. They're different. And so it's really important to think about how we want that stuff to work and how we want our list of answers to work. What makes sense, though, if we're really trying to be clean about all this, is we wish we could change out the answer slot so that only the right answer is our slot values. There aren't other answers. There aren't hundreds of other things. There's only the one that is the right answer for the question I asked you right now. Does that make sense? So if I ask you a question about Hippocrates and that's the answer, that should be the only slot value. And that way I can easily say, you either got it right or you got it wrong, because if you match my answer, you got it right. And if you don't match my answer, you got it wrong. And that's the logic that we're going to use here, because there isn't the possibility you could match something else because there isn't anything else. And that's how we're going to use dynamic entities and our slots here to solve that problem. So what I will do is let's use my last name as my one slot value. This is the only thing that I'm going to have here. I'm not going to have any synonyms for it. I'm just going to have this one slot value, which is my last name, which will never be the answer to a trivia question, as far as I think. And what we're going to want to do is use this as our. Oh, I got to go back to my intent, answer intent. We can now assign answer as the slot type for this. So we'll save model. We'll also add some other things. The answer is answer. We could also do it is answer. We also might do things like what is, because sometimes people get in the habit of using Jeopardy answers, and it doesn't hurt to allow that. So what is, it is, the answer is, and we can think of all sorts of ways we can do this. I think it is answer. Again, we can continue to expand this. We'll continue to work on our voice model, but let's save this now and build it and drink some water. And while that is building itself, we can go think about the data that we already have and how we can populate some dynamic entities. So I haven't done this in a while. We're actually going to need to dig into the tech docs for Alexa to remember. So let's do Alexa developer dynamic entities. And we'll use, if we find like a blog post or something, I probably wrote it. But the idea here behind dynamic entities is that we can swap out values very, very easily. And so this is what I want. I want a replace directive. So we're going to take this. I think this will be sufficient for what we need, and I'll modify it. But what they do is that we have a replace entity directive that's just a JSON object that has all this stuff. And then down here, we just do add directive where we call in our replace entity directive. Now, what's really cool about this is that in our case, we really care about replacing all of the values that are in that specific entity inside that list of slot values. But you can see that I think they have in here somewhere that we can clear it out, so we could just get rid of all of them. And I don't know if they have the other properties, but I think there's an add property as well. Oh, the only supported values are replace and clear. I thought that you could also add, but I guess I am wrong. So it's just replace and clear. Perfect. Replace is what I want every time, so I think that will work just fine. And what we're going to do is come up here. Do I want to get rid of all this? I still need a what is your answer, and then we've got a bunch of speech we need to put in there, but I don't want to do that yet. So what we need is, first, we need a, let's call this answer directive. We'll slap our JSON in here. So this is dialog.update dynamic entities. These are specific directives that we can pass through to our Alexa skill that allows additional things to happen. You do a lot of things with directives for things like in-skill purchasing, for APL. There's lots of other directives that you can create, but this just happens to be the update dynamic entities one. So what we have here, though, is we have this core structure, which is the name of the slot that we're going to put in there. And then we have an array of values that look like this. So we basically need to create an array that contains objects that look like these, because this is what it's going to use. And it's pretty easy to do, because if we look at the data that we're getting from our database, we have not only the right answer, which is voice answer here, but we also have answer synonyms, which is any of the additional things that you might say. So if the answer is Jackson Pollock, and I'm willing to allow Pollock as an answer, then I can add that as a synonym, and we can use that as our synonyms in this object. So when we pull a question and we ask the user a question, we also have all of this data at the same time. We have an image, we have an answer and the synonym. So we just need to be able to create that collection of objects and then feed it into this directive. So what I can do here is a little for each, and we'll do, let's see, how do we want to do this? For each. No, I really don't even need to do a for each, because I just have the one. So let's just try filling this in, because we have our question. Maybe we could just do this with static value. So our ID is going to be, this is going to be the question ID. Is that right? Is that how I want to do this? Well, let's think about the name. So the value here, this piece here, is going to be, this is actually going to be question dot fields dot voice answer. And the synonyms, this is a comma separated list, but in quotation marks. So how do I want to do this? I could have one or many. You can see that I have this list here. I've done this before. I wonder if we go to GitHub, if I can just find an example of how my brain worked the last time I thought about this. So if we look at TKO, yeah, Alexa, I think it was this one. Lambda, custom. This is when things used to get really messy. And I was keeping everything in one file and all that, but we've gotten much better about this. So answer intent handler. No, I want question intent handler. Where's question? Start game, question intent handler. So in here we have our directive. No, that's question intent handler. This doesn't look like the one that I do directives in. Let's see if we have the word. There we go. So synonym, how am I creating synonyms? I have if synonyms isn't undefined, then I'm splitting synonyms on a comma. And it'll let me just do that, huh? I don't need to wrap quotes or anything around it? Great. Great, great, great. Okay, let's just take this. And see what we can do here. So we have our value synonyms here. How do I want to do this? It doesn't matter if I have synonyms or not. It's just whether or not the value will be empty. And I really don't need this piece. I don't need the voice answer to be a synonym because it's already the main value. Okay, let's think. How do I best want to structure this? Because what I could do, if I was actually just building this as an object, right? If I take this thing, how can I best construct this? It seems like this is a opportunity for a helper function where I can pass in the answer and I can pass in the synonyms and it returns to me an object that contains everything that I need. I think that feels like the right decision. So we could take this piece and in our helper stuff, we can create a new thing, which is get get slot slot object, I guess. And in here, we're going to have 3 values. We're going to have ID. We're going to have, what do we actually call them in the JSON so we get it right? ID, value, synonyms. Okay. ID, value, synonyms. I feel like there's a possibility I might want to do this where value is the only thing. So we'll do value, ID, synonyms. All right. So down here, we need a module.exports, get slot object. Then in here, we need and one of these, get. We have our get slot object. That's great. And now we need to basically just return one of these, something like that. You don't want me to do that? Okay. So we're returning that. Actually, let's do this. I still have, this is still a thing that's going to be modified as I go. So we're going to call this let slot equal. And down here, we'll do return slot. Okay, so the pieces that we need here see, we won't always have an ID. We won't always have synonyms. This is where it's going to get tricky. So I think we're going to do this. And we'll take the name. We'll take the value. This will always be value. So this exists like this. Now we can do if b slot slot dot ID equals ID. If synonyms slot dot name dot synonyms. Well, we're gonna need to do a little more work here on this one. It's going to be something like this. Then all of this goes away. Okay, so we have our ID. We need our synonyms, but if we remember back to, no, where did that GitHub code go? This. We remember back to this. Just hold on to this for a minute. See what we're doing here. If it's not undefined, which is where we are, then we just want to set it equal to this array, like so. So I think we can just do that. Maybe we can do this in one line. And then we return that slot. So I don't need this else case that I had here, so we're not even going to worry about it. I think that was just me being overly cautious. But now I have this get slot object that's going to return the name every time, then the value, I guess I should say. And then if there's an ID, we'll use the ID. And if there's a synonyms, then we'll use the synonyms. Okay? So that means that this part can go away. And in this one case, I'm only going to have one value, but there will be times where I have multiple of these. So what I can say right here is just going to be all this goes away. Right here, I can just say get helper.get slot object, and we need question dot fields dot voice answer question dot fields dot record ID question dot fields dot synonyms. Let's make sure I've got those fields correct. I have, see, answer synonyms. I would have failed there. Record ID, voice answer, answer synonyms. So this becomes answer synonyms. Okay. So again, there will be times where we don't have a synonym, and there will be times when we do. But we have this answer directive, and we're going to do this every time. There's never a time where we don't do this. We're always going to replace. Don't forget to change the field. Oh, you're totally, well, this needs to change entirely anyway. That's like a good call. Thank you, Ruians. It should be that. I shouldn't have any knowledge of the object here at all. So, or the data schema or anything. Okay, so I have those three. This gets me my value. Then down here, we just need to do, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing this always. It's add directive. And this is going to be answer. What did I call that? Answer directive. Okay. So that gets us the directive. This is where we actually pass in the dynamic entities and tell it what the answer should be. So let's see how much damage I've done, how many errors I've created, and we'll go from there. So if I come back to testing,
Welcome to TKO.
Give me a science question.
There was a problem with the requested skills
Cool,
response.
cool. What did I break? I broke cannot read property SSML of undefined. This is nuts. Here's what we're going to do, because I'm just tired of fighting with that bug. We're going to go in to our handler, our interceptor. We're just going to not do this right now. This is just for the repeat functionality, and I'm angry that this isn't working properly, and I don't know why it's not working, and I don't want to spend the time on it. So we're going to do that. We're just not going to save it for right now. So the repeat intent won't do anything for right now, but it will. We'll come back to it. I don't understand why sometimes I get this weird SSML error, though. Because it most certainly has the content we need. So let's try this again. Open the game.
Welcome to TKO.
Give me a sign.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Now what? What is the issue? An error occurred while dispatching the request to the skill. It's so incredibly helpful. All right. What is going on here? Start my service. Refresh my page. Gone, gone, gone. Open my game. That piece works fine.
This is TKO Trivia.
You'll notice the voice is gone. I'm not applying Brian anymore, but that's okay. And give me a science question.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
So I'm not necessarily getting an error. This should all be clean up until it turns orange. So I don't see any error messages. That was my launch request. This is TKO Trivia, cool. Then a new skill request came in, and this was a question intent. Great. And it heard science, so all of that is working. Then here's a question from the science category. And then the skill freaks out and says, no, I have to fail. An error occurred while dispatching the request to the skill. I don't know what that is. I don't know why. Is it related to this? We'll do a sure. That actually, this is probably the issue, is how I'm doing my directive. But you'd think it would give me an error or something. So we'll see here in just a second. Give me the game.
This is TKO Trivia. Here is a question from the science category. What is the better known term for twins that are monozygotic?
It's kind of loud. I have to kick the volume on that. It is, in fact, identical twins. Kevin Evans, what is your medical background? I love that you know all this stuff. Not that one's a super hard question, but the Hippocrates is a little trickier for people. So it does look like I'm getting the object that I expect here, which is that I'm getting a answer directive. It has a type of dialogue, update dynamic entities, update behavior. Do I not see that? Update behavior is replace. Then I have values. In there I have, types is an array. The first spot in there, I have an object that has a name of answer, and values is an array. And in that array, I have my first element has an ID. Yeah, that's right. An ID and a name and a value. And so I'm with you, Kevin. My degree's in psychology. That was my plan too. medical. But did not end up going that route for pretty much the same reason. So my directive looks good. I don't understand why it's not cooperating. Let's see if we can do.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
There we go. Why? Oh, I think I know what it is. It's always the dumb thing. It's the thing I never think of. I think I have to enable this capability. So let's look at tools and permissions. Is dynamic? No, not permissions. Custom interfaces. Is it in here? APL can fulfill custom interface, video app, display interface, audio player. No, it's not there. I don't think dynamic entities is a permission. When a customer invokes your skill, you send an intent response to your skill. Huh. Okay, let's just take this. Add directive, and they're just doing that. I want to simplify here just to make sure that I'm not crazy. We can leave that one alone. And we'll just add this one here. This is the replace entity directive, and we'll just add this one here. Okay. See if that changes the game. If everything works. If that's the fix, then I've got something wrong with my my syntax.
This is TKO Trivia. Here is a question from the science category.
Okay, so that worked just fine. You can see that I have a directive
In
here.
the spectrum of visible light, which color has the longest wavelength?
Oh, stop. So you can see that I had that airport slot type. I wonder if the problem is that I named it the same as my actual slot type. I wonder if that's maybe my issue. So I wonder if I had changed this to something like answer entity, if that's my issue. It seems like my syntax and everything is clean here. I'm not getting any JavaScript errors like, hey, that doesn't work. So it feels weird to me that this isn't populating with the thing that I want it to populate with.
This is TKO Trivia. There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be whatever I'm doing here is wrong. So if I look at get slot object, I am returning one simple object. Why is it that the directive seems to hate it? This is the stuff that bugs me, because like I can't control how the directive works or anything like that. I just have to submit an object that's valid, but this seems like we're not getting a JavaScript error. This isn't a syntax issue. This is just a dumb issue. This is dumb. Okay, let's think. How can we verify that we're doing this properly? It's not the name. Dialog.update dynamic entities. Dialog, like this all looks the same in theirs. Types is an object. Now they have this all cleaned out, like they don't put quotes around all their property names, I can do that. I don't think that should matter, but I do like how much cleaner it looks. Types, and then I have a name, the airport slot type. That this is answer entity. That should be fine. Then I have values, and I have an array. And then I have one object in there, which has an ID and a name property that contains value and synonyms. If we look at this, I have a name property. I add the ID property. Like, let's you can slap this in here too, I guess. ID. So let's come back to this and get rid of this one. I actually don't think I want to do it this way. I want to do it like that. Let's see what it looks like now.
Welcome to TKO Trivia.
Shouldn't the
The
name
trivia
property
game
also
show
have a
where you
value?
answer difficult questions and win nothing.
So if we look at theirs, their name, this is the one that works. Name itself doesn't have a property or value. It only has an object that contains value and synonyms. And the one I'm creating, I have a name property here. And so I'm putting value and potentially adding synonyms when necessary. So we did just run this, right? Oh, all I did was start the skill. I gotta do the science question part.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Cool. Really excited about that. Where's the error? Oh, I see what I did. Here, I don't want ID. I want slot. Not that that should matter. That's not why I have an error. An exception occurred while dispatching the request to the skill. All right, let's try this again with where the actual value we want.
This is TK. There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Name. Oh, did I? Okay, so there is a little bit of wonkiness in my structure because value should just have the property 6. It shouldn't be value 6. So am I passing in value wrong, incorrectly? That's probably it. So question.fields.voice answer. And then in here, name, value. This should be, value should just be the string. There we go. That was it. I put an extra set of curly braces in there. I think that's my issue. That was hard to find. Harder to find than it should have been. Okay. And
Welcome to TKO Trivia.
we go again.
Here is a question from the
Yes.
science category.
And we got Kevin's question again.
Which Greek physician is known as the father of medicine?
I got to turn that volume down now. It's so much louder than anything else. Okay. We'll let it go. It's still a bop. Isn't that what they say? It's still a bop. So I have this new answer entity. And Hippocrates is our slot value. So if we go back to build, and let's make sure that we've got everything in the place that we want, what we should be able to see here now is that I have a slot type answer. Remember, Blankenberg's the only value in here. Actually, I really want it to override that. I don't know how. We'll see how this actually works. I have my interaction model with my intent for my answer intent. And what should happen is that I should hit this answer intent when I say Hippocrates, and it should match the thing. So let's just try it and see what happens here. I'll just take the value. And that is our value.
Uh-oh, we don't have a category for Hippocrates. You can always ask for the list of categories, or ask for a random question.
Interesting. It thought that I was asking for a category because why did it do that? It thought I was asking for a category name. That's interesting. So we can play with this a little. If we go to our category, our question intent, we could just get rid of this one. I think that will help us. It could also be that I haven't built this since I put the answer stuff in there. I thought that I did, but maybe I didn't. But we'll get this built and see if taking out just the raw category by itself doesn't help. Because they really shouldn't just be like science. They should be like, give me a science question or whatever, like conversational. Although I know that at some point they will exactly say things like that and be disappointed when it doesn't work. But let's see how this goes. Come on, build. Finish up. Now I thought, and I don't think it's described here in the request, but I believe that by adding the dynamic entities, they stay there until I need to change them. Are we done? Build successful. What if I say Hippocrates now?
Uh-oh, we don't have a category for Hippocrates.
Okay, let's try this again. Give me a science question.
Here is a question from the science category. When Gabriel Uh-oh, we don't have a category for Mercury.
Okay.
You can always ask for the list of categories, or ask for a random question.
So I think the thing that I'm running into is that I haven't named it properly. I think you actually want to, if we go back to our docs, I think you actually want to name it the name of the slot you're replacing. Let's see. So the existing slot type airport. So this must be what they, that's a little confusing. But I think I just have to use the same name of the slot. So let's just try that and verify. So we come back to question intent and we can get rid of this one. In here, I think this needs to be answer, which is the name of my slot. So I'm confident in that, although this isn't giving me a lot of confidence reading this. But I think that's what they're trying to illustrate with this naming. So give me a science question. What is our answer?
Here is a question from the science category. Oops. It looks like one of our programmers broke something.
I haven't written
I will let them know and have them fix it as soon as possible. In the meantime, you can always ask for a random question or start a new quiz, right?
So this is what I wanted to illustrate for you. So it hit the answer intent because I gave an answer that matched. You can see that it sees the value that I actually spoke here. But then I also have this authority here that shows me that I matched a specific value. And I don't know why I'm not seeing scroll bars. I guess I got to scroll down a little further. There we go. But out here, if we scroll out, you can see that it's recognized that this is another entity, another authority on matching. And so my find matches, the get resolved values function that I have, needs to be able to jump through each one of these to make sure that it's looking in all of them for anything that looks like a matching value. So we're matching. This is good. So now we just need to verify that we can get this value and that we can then tell the user, correct, the answer was temperature or whatever. And then if there was an answer node or whatever, we can use that stuff too. So our first step is we want to be able to verify. We have to have an answer intent. We have to catch the value. None of that stuff is happening right now. So for now, I think we're good on the dynamic entities. This piece is all working. We have our hold timer. We'll want another thing in here that is like, what's your answer? You're out of time, whatever. We'll do some of that random speech stuff in a bit. But we have our dynamic entity. The next piece that I want to think about is our answer intent, which we don't have a handler for yet. So let's do that first. Answer intent. .js. And this is going to be probably an async function. Answer intent. Every time. Okay, and then down here, module.exports, answer intent. And then in this index, we can do an answer intent. Cool. Cool, cool. This is here. It doesn't do anything yet, but we will need something like this. We'll probably need both of these functions. And we're definitely going to need get resolved words. And we're going to need this for answer. So let's see what just happens. Because I think I built this to handle this kind of situation already. So we just want answer to be our slot. And if we look at how this is actually structured in the JSON, we start way up here, slots, answer. So everything to the right of this line is part of my answer slot. So I'm going to have answer.resolutions per authority. And then I've got multiple authorities. And eventually I should find this. So what I'd like to see is when we do this, is my function actually bringing back this value temperature? And we can just look at a length on that or something to see what we're really pulling back. So let's do console.log resolve category. And then we'll bring in some of the speech stuff just so it's working.
Why aren't you following me?
Oh, Mike, thank you for the follow, man. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Welcome to the show. I'm glad that you're here. And hopefully next time we'll be able to raid one another. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, so I have this as the answer intent. I should be able to see the resolve category. So we should at least not get an error now. So let's give that a go. Let's see what we get here. It looks like our programmer's broke something. That's totally fine. Let's give me a science question.
Here is a question from the science category.
The answer is Earth.
What is... It appears our trivia questions are better than our programmers. Okay. Something just broke. I'm so sorry about that. You could start a quiz
Alexa
or
is
ask
not
for a
defined.
question. What should I do?
Alexa is not defined in the intent reflector? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Alexa is not defined. Of course it is. The intent reflector. Let's go look at the actual code and see what in the world. Oh, I see. Well, we can solve this another way, but that I should fix that. We don't actually want this. Here we can just get this. Happy. Okay. So answer intent. What? Question intent. Everything should be good here now. So answer intent is where we're looking to land, but we haven't created a handler for it yet. That's the issue. Answer intent handler. This is going to become answer intent. This is going to become answer intent. I have grand aspirations that this could just generate itself at some point, but not there yet. Okay, so answer intent handler is pointing out to handlers.answer intent, which we've already built. Great. So now maybe it'll actually work because I've created the code that I'm trying to call. That's always nice. Okay. So, Jomo, good morning, man. How are you? Give me a science question.
Here is a question from the science category.
The answer is red.
In the spectrum of visible light, which color has the longest wavelength?
Red.
This is the answer intent.
Cool. We hit the answer intent. I'm good, man. I haven't talked to you in a couple days. It feels weird. We gotta catch up. I'll see how things are going. So what I want to see in my code is resolved category, hold back, red as a match. This is amazing. So there's one more piece to this that I think I really need to do. In the question intent, and this is always important, is that I have a question ID. We passed that through here, right? This is my record ID for my question. What I should do is take this, and we have session attributes. Once we have a question, we should say session attributes dot current question ID equals that. And the reason for this is what I want to know is that not only did I match the right answer, but that I matched the right answer for the right question. And by using this record ID, this unique identifier that's true only for this specific question, I think I can do that. Can I do that? Can I do that? I think I can, yes. So refresh this. We'll do this step by step. We're already at 11:25. Man, when you're making progress and having fun, this is a good time.
Here is a question from the science category.
Great. The answer is 6 fingers or toes.
What does a person with hexadectalism have?
Hexadectalism. 6 fingers.
This is the answer intent.
But what I want to see here is that I have a current question ID. So I've saved this in my session attributes. This is the ID from my database. So if we look at 7C4, so we come in here, we find the hexadectalism. Here we go. So you can see that this is question 7C4. So this is a unique identifier for this one question. But then in my slot return, you can see that my match here, my value, I have a potential answer that they've matched based on what they said. And the ID of that value happens to also be my question ID. So what's nice about this is that now I don't have to do any string matching. I don't have to care what they said or how they said it or what the words were or anything. All I have to do is make sure that the ID of the question that they matched matches the ID of the question that I asked, and I know they got it right. Nothing else matters. This is something that I think is really, really cool about dynamic entities. So let's come into our code and verify that, and then we can actually tell the user whether or not they got things right. So in the answer intent, we have our resolved category, and we're going to take this, comment that out for now, and we're going to say if resolved category 0.value.id, and we need our session attributes, so let's get that because we got to compare. Get my session attributes, and I'm going to say session attributes dot current question ID. Is that what I called it? Current question ID, yeah. If those match, then I should be able to say something. Let's do a this will be else. Okay. So we're just quickly throwing a thing together here so that we can say, hooray, you got that right, or shucks, you got that wrong. And so that's going to be our speak output depending on whether or not those IDs match. So let's go. Let's do it. So give me a science question.
Here is a question from the science category. What is the word for the tendency of objects to remain in motion or to stay at rest?
And we're going to say inertia because we want to hear it right first. Inertia.
Hooray, you got that right.
Cool. Now, my current question ID is still the same. And I think that that dynamic entity is still there. So if I were to say tacos.
Uh-oh, we don't have a category for tacos.
That's
you can
an
always
issue.
ask for the list of categories or ask for a random question.
Tacos doesn't work nearly as well. So what I need to do is when you say the wrong thing, I still want you... Man, I wonder if I'm going to end up having to use the search query slot or something. Did I do that in the original version to try to catch this nonsense? If I look at the interaction model for this old version that I built, if I look at models, ENUS, my answer intent, what does it look like? I did. See, I have a search query slot that I use to catch anything else. That is how I did that. Because the problem with a trivia game, and while Kevin Evans is correct, tacos is always a right answer. That tends to be my tried and tested error message, because tacos is rarely something I would say to the skill or something that I've built to accommodate. So I use tacos quite often for my error message. But you can see here that I have another slot value, another slot itself, that is the search query slot type. The catch with this is it's going to catch everything that isn't something the skill expects. I was talking with somebody yesterday during office hours about this, in fact. But I think this is how it's going to have to work, because you're going to guess an answer and you could literally say anything. There's no way for me to predict what that's going to be. So let's come into our intents. Let's look at our answer intent. Let's add a new slot. A new slot called wrong. Slot type is going to be search query. Honestly, this should give me like a giant warning. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to use the search query slot? Because man, does it have some gravity. Oh, it's not answer. Okay, fine. Cool. Well, we'll do wrong. That's all I really need it to do, is be there. And we could build in a bunch of other, like it is wrong. What are my other ones? The answer is. And so what it's going to rely on to make decisions between these two is whether or not what you said is in the slot value. The user won't know this, of course. They won't know what's happening behind the scenes. But we're going to have a second value called wrong that we can access and say, I'm sorry, sample utterance wrong in intent must include a carrier phrase. I think I got away with this one other time by just like that. Yeah, I have no idea why I can get away. I think I can get away with that. Jomo, did you know that, by the way? I don't know if you're still watching. Oh, it did fail again? Or did it not fail? It's still going. If you want to use the search query slot, but you don't want to use a carrier phrase, some kind of introduction phrase before it, you can just put a space. And it works just fine. I think that's what I did here. Space wrong. So I don't know why I did those. No, it's all consuming. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you can really end up with a lot of gravity. But I don't want to have to train my user to say things like the answer is, or what is, or whatever. I'm going to say, what is the shortest color wavelength of light? And they're going to say a color name. They're not going to say the answer is. They're not going to say I think it is. Yeah, I'm using dynamic entities also. Yeah. So we'll see. But you can get away with it. Like, it's valid as far as the build is concerned. Now in here, if I say tacos, let's see what happens. Tacos.
It appears our trivia questions are better. Here is a question from the science category. It appears our trivia questions are better than our programmers. Something just broke. I'm so sorry about that.
Cannot read property 0 of undefined. Well, that makes sense.
Ask for a question. What should I do?
Because I didn't match anything. So let's see if we can do it this way. If this is where we need the spoken word stuff. If they said something wrong, so this is going to be these are all wrong. If resolved answer, spoken answer, if wrong answer exists, then speak output equals shucks, you got that wrong. Sorry. Chuck, you got that wrong. Sorry. If otherwise, we would have matched something. And we would say, hooray, you got that right. This might be enough to change it. Okay. Tacos.
Whoops. It looks like one of our programmers broke something. I will let them know and have them fix it as soon as possible. In the meantime,
Stop.
you can always ask for a random
Stop.
question or start a new quiz.
Tacos.
Whoops. It looks like one of our programmers broke something. I will let them know and have them fix it as soon as possible.
Resolved category is not defined. Where is resolved category?
You can always ask for a random question or start a new quiz, right?
Resolved category isn't even in here anymore. Stop it. Okay. Tacos.
Whoops. It looks like one of our programmers broke something. I will let them know and have them fix it as soon as possible. In the meantime, you can always ask for a random question or start a new quiz.
Well, the good news is I'm getting what I want, which is wrong lands, the wrong slot appears, it has the value tacos, and I can use that to talk to my user and say, I'm sorry, tacos is not the right answer. It is the correct answer is insulin, or whatever the answer happens to be. So that piece is working. The error that I'm getting now is cannot read property 0 of undefined, because this could be a else. I hate this logic. We're going to come back and revisit this, but I want to just get past the error. Tacos.
Whoops. It looks like one of our programmers broke something. I will let them know and have them fix it as soon as possible. In the meantime, you can always ask for a random question or start a new quiz, right?
Tacos.
Shucks, you got that wrong.
There we go.
Sorry.
So you can see here that I have this wrong slot, and this grabbed the word tacos, but it shouldn't grab everything. So if I say, give me a science question.
Here is a question from the science category.
There we go.
When Gabriel Fahrenheit invented the thermometer in 1714, what chemical element did he use to tell the temperature?
The answer is mercury. Mercury?
Hooray, you got that right.
Okay, awesome. So we have officially, at 11:39 on Wednesday, achieved everything that I wanted to do today. We were able to ask the user a question, and we were able to verify whether or not they got it wrong or right. So I feel pretty good about today and where we're at. That feels really good. We'll be back tomorrow. And on tomorrow's show, we're going to clean some of this stuff up because it's kind of messy. And there's a lot of speech that I've written. I don't like speech in my code. And so everywhere that we see speech here, if we look at question, we don't have a category for that. All of these audio sources, here's a question from the category name. All of that stuff has to come out. And so we're going to work on how we handle having randomized strings of content that need specific things injected, like category names. We can't have random sentences for every single category for whatever. We're going to want to pick, choose, and replace this stuff. So that is what we're going to do tomorrow. Goodness, I love doing this, though. I'm so glad that you guys are here. I'm so glad that I get a chance to share a little time with all of you and write some code and break some things and figure some things out together. But we're going to wrap it up here for today. Let's see who's rateable. It's BeginBot. I got to follow more people, maybe. I feel like, or maybe it's just that the people I follow are people that I watch. But I want there to be more people that are on at the same time as me that I can go raid. And I always feel like I have the same 2 or 3 people. So can we find just like a random channel? Does anybody have a channel they could recommend that maybe is on right now that they know of that I could go raid? Somebody that's new. I like BeginBot, and it's nice to raid him once in a while, but the last thing he needs is help with viewers. I'd love to find somebody that's streaming right now. Let's see if I can just go to Twitch and see if we can find. If I just do science technology streams, let's go see what we got going on in science and technology streams. We got BeginBot, we got the Crazy 8 Signal R stream on Code It Live. I wonder why they must have turned raids off, maybe. Lana Lux is on. Yeah, we'll do Lana. That sounds good. So am I not following her somehow?
Actually,
There we go. Pause. I am following. I wonder if she just has raids off. Stream manager raid. Yeah, I don't seem to have any other options for rating people. That's kind of weird. So Mr. Smoofy says Code Rushed or Layla Code. We haven't done Code Rushed before. I wonder if I can just do that. Stream manager, raid somebody. Code Rushed. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. 3 viewers. Yes, sir. We're going to start this raid, pile you guys all up in a van, and send you over there. And we have had a fantastic day. I'm so glad. We will be back here tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you then. Take care.